Hey everybody, welcome to Nutri-iQ Radio, where we talk about all things food, fitness, and feeling good. I'm your host, Shaun here, and this week we're talking about Halloween. Anyway, let's move on from that intro. I had loads of different ideas for this week's podcast, and I was thinking about the idea of enjoying the holiday and indulging yourself, how to do Halloween with social distancing, and even how you can use Halloween to springboard yourself into a new life. I couldn't decide which one to go for, so you know what? We're going to do all three. Why not? Halloween is all about overindulging and getting hyperactive, so let's do it. I mean, it's not really about that, but like every other holiday that's become commercialized, it is now just all about food and spending money. But let's not get too political on a Monday morning, shall we? Let's start with that overindulgence though. It's a topic that comes up a lot in the health and fitness world because it's a topic that plays on a lot of our minds. When we're working to improve our health or to lose weight or gain it for that matter, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to be on plan every day with no let up. If we take our foot off the gas, our progress will slow down and we'll lose momentum, won't we? At least, that's what we think. But thoughts are very often not facts. What actually happens a lot of the time is that we try to stick to our plan strictly and doing everything so right that that itself becomes a problem. A couple of weeks ago in episode 19, I talked about how I wound up developing disordered eating issues because of this way of thinking, and I don't want you to end up there as well, if you're not already. The fact of the matter is there has to be a release. And that release can either be planned and enjoyed or unplanned and followed by guilt. I know which one I'd rather do. Just think about it. Think about every time you've tried to get a handle on your weight in the past and gone at it all guns blazing. No treats, no distractions, no days off. It sucks, doesn't it? You feel like you miss out on family parties because you're sitting there with your Tupperware box or your pre-prepared snacks. You miss out on your favourite pizza because you're going for the ultra thin crust, low calorie option, and life is just generally less enjoyable. The pressure of that builds until we eventually binge out. Then we feel guilty for that, ask ourselves why we can't ever just stick with it, and fall completely off track, and then have to start all over again a few months later. What if that didn't have to happen? What if you built in a little release valve that lets you enjoy those little moments in life, keep making progress, and feel happier as a result? That's what nights like Halloween can be. A little release valve where you enjoy some chocolate, play some silly games like trying to eat a hanging donut from a string, and just take the pressure off for the night. You might go over your usual daily calorie goal, but that's no big deal. You've had a fun time, you're enjoying life, and you haven't ruined your progress. If you're using the Nutri-iQ app already, you know that using the calorie bank can help you ease your way back to a point of balance and being totally on track when you splash out on calories. But all it really takes is having a little less in the few days after to balance things out. Halloween is supposed to be fun. Skip the chocolate and the sweets if you want to, that's totally fine. But if you really do just fancy that fun-sized Mars bar, that's fine too. Speaking of fun, that's going to be a bit harder this year as well, isn't it? I was in Asda the other day, and I saw all the usual stuff you'd expect to see on the shelves around Halloween. Scary decorations and costumes, big tubs of sweets, and little trick-or-treat bags for the kids to use. And I thought to myself, surely with social distancing, you shouldn't be knocking on people's doors and going door to door doing it. Then I thought, actually, maybe it's not so bad. If everyone's wearing a mask anyway, and gloves with their costumes, you're not going to be transmitting that much, are you? And if you know you're COVID free, you could just throw the sweets to the kids and they have to try and catch it in their bags. Make a game out of it. To be honest, the more I think about it, the more confusing it gets. You can't let the kids choose their own sweets out of the box because that's just creating an absolute hive for transmission. So you'd have to give it to them. But even them all coming along and knocking on your door or ringing your bell, they're all touching the same thing. Maybe the kids just have to scream trick or treat outside the window and hope you hear them so there's no contact at all. I don't even know what the best way to do it is or if we should be doing it at all this year. Especially if your local rules are that you can't even visit your nan's house, never mind every single neighbour's right now. What do you think on this one? Are you expecting trick or treaters this year, or are you planning to do it with your kids? If you are, what are you planning to do to make sure everybody is safe? Let me know at shaun@Nutri-iQ.net, or just leave a comment if you're watching this as a video. Remember, that's SHAUN@NUTRI-IQ.net. On to our last topic for today then. How to use Halloween to springboard into a new life. I was listening to an episode of the Tim Ferriss show a few weeks ago where he was interviewing Chuck Palahniuk. I think that's how you pronounce it. The guy who wrote Fight Club. In the interview, Chuck talked about how at Halloween there's a kind of power reversal that happens. People dress up as something that's outside of normal for them. They dress up as animals, as the dead, as TV or movie characters, even celebrities. We revel in it. We love the idea and the feeling of expressing ourselves in a way that's not looked down on by the rest of society for that one night. We dress more sexually than we usually would in public, or as someone or something that's stronger than we feel we are, or we just have fun dressing up and playing like we did when we were kids. Why limit that to one night? Why let those outside impressions of what society might think dampen your spirit and stop you having fun throughout the rest of the year? If you want to dress more sexually than you usually do, but you worry people will think you're a slut, screw them. They probably want to as well, but don't have the guts to do it, so they try and pull you back down to their level so they don't feel so bad for not doing it themselves. If you're typically a quieter, meeker character who keeps to themselves, but dressing up as Superman or Wonder Woman for the night makes you feel more powerful, be more powerful. Speak up more, make your voice heard, hit the gym to build your body to look more powerful. And if you just enjoy dressing up with your kids for the night and having fun, do that too. I have absolutely no doubt that if you and all your kids all dressed up more often together and had little adventures and reenacted stories in your house, they would absolutely love that. And you would too. You'd be making memories you'd all cherish forever. Maybe I'm looking deeper into this than I really need to, and it is all as simple as dressing up and having fun. But just ask yourself this year, what am I dressing up for? What do I get out of dressing up? Why did I choose that outfit? Is there a theme to the outfits I choose? Maybe there isn't, but maybe there is. If you do find an answer, use it. Use it as a springboard into November and the rest of your life. Use it to become one step closer to the version of yourself you aspire to be. Now I want to know what you've got planned for Halloween. Are you planning to find a way to make trick-or-treating safe? Are you planning to indulge in the holiday or give it a pass? What are you dressing up as this year, and are you going to dive into thinking about why? If you're listening as a podcast, send an email to shaun@nutri-iq.net and use the subject line podcast to let us know what you're up to. That's SHAUN@NUTRI-IQ.net. And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, let us know down below. So thanks for tuning in to Nutri-iQ Radio this week. If you're listening as a podcast and you haven't already, if you could leave a review on iTunes, that would be fantastic. And you can even do that right in the iTunes app. Well, the podcast app. Any reviews you leave, I'd love to give you a shout out on the show. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on any future episodes. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you could give the video a like, that would be a massive help, because it lets them know these shows are something people enjoy, so they're more likely to show them to other people. And finally, if you want to follow us around social media, make sure you like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram at Nutri-iq without the dash, Follow us on Twitter at Nutri-iQ Official and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Nutri-iQ TV. See you next week.